There are encounters in life that cannot be explained by logic alone. They move through time, body, and reason, awakening something ancient and profound that seemed to be asleep within us. When two people recognize each other at this invisible level, a strange sense of familiarity arises, as if something inside has finally found its reflection. This type of connection is not built only through conscious words or actions, but emerges from the meeting of deep layers of the psyche, where symbolic memories, unlived desires, and archetypal images come together. In these moments, life appears to gain meaning. Conflicts reveal a hidden purpose, and even emotional wounds begin to serve a transformative role. The bond stops being merely emotional and becomes a mirror, capable of revealing both the light and the shadow that live within the human soul. It is in this subtle space that powerful signs appear, often overlooked yet deeply revealing, indicating when a relationship goes beyond the ordinary and touches something essential. As you move forward, allow yourself to recognize these signs and their impact. Before continuing, leave a comment with the affirmative phrase, "I recognize connections that transform my soul." From a Jungian perspective, the experience of a profound and transformative connection is never accidental. Carl Jung understood human relationships as living expressions of the unconscious, where inner images seek completion through encounter with the other. When a person feels irresistibly drawn to someone, this attraction often emerges from projection, a psychological mechanism through which unconscious aspects of the psyche are placed onto another individual. In these moments, the other becomes the carrier of qualities that have not yet been consciously integrated, such as emotional depth, strength, vulnerability, or intuition. This projection creates a magnetic pull that feels fated, because it originates from the psyche's natural drive toward wholeness. Equally important is the encounter with the shadow. In deep bonds, uncomfortable emotions, insecurities, and unresolved wounds tend to surface with intensity. Rather than being signs of incompatibility, these moments reveal that the relationship is activating hidden parts of the self that seek recognition and healing. Jung believed that meaningful connections confront us with what we deny or repress, offering an opportunity for growth rather than escape. Another essential principle is individuation, the lifelong process of becoming one's true self. Certain relationships act as catalysts for this process, challenging fixed identities and encouraging psychological expansion. Through emotional intimacy, individuals are pushed to integrate both their conscious persona and unconscious dimensions. This often includes the activation of the inner masculine and feminine aspects, known as animus and anima. When these inner opposites are mirrored in another person, the bond feels deeply balancing and transformative, as if an inner dialogue has finally found external resonance. In this framework, a powerful connection is not defined by perfection or constant harmony, but by its ability to promote self-awareness and inner integration. Such relationships feel meaningful because they serve the psyche's deepest aim, the reconciliation of inner divisions. When this occurs, the connection transcends ordinary attraction and becomes a path towards psychological wholeness. When you are ready to continue, reply okay. One of the most striking signs of a profound connection is the immediate sense of familiarity that arises without any clear, rational explanation. It is not simply comfort or attraction, but a deep recognition that seems to bypass conscious thought entirely. From a psychological perspective, this sensation does not emerge from chance, but from the activation of unconscious material that has long been dormant within the psyche. The feeling of knowing someone before truly knowing them reflects the encounter with inner archetypal patterns that seek expression through relationship. These patterns operate beneath personal history, creating the impression that the bond exists outside linear time. This familiarity often manifests as an ease of communication, even in silence. Words feel unnecessary because understanding seems to occur instinctively. This experience can be unsettling as it challenges the ego's need for control and logical explanation. The mind searches for reasons, but the body and emotions respond first, generating a quiet certainty that defies analysis. Jung viewed this phenomenon as the resonance between unconscious structures, where shared symbolic material creates an immediate sense of connection. It is not that the individuals are identical, but that their inner worlds recognize complementary aspects in each other. Such recognition is frequently tied to the anima and animus, the inner feminine and masculine principles that shape emotional perception and relational expectations. When these inner figures are unconsciously projected onto another person, the connection feels charged with meaning and depth. The other appears familiar because they embody qualities the psyche has long been carrying internally. This does not imply illusion or fantasy, but rather an encounter with one's own inner reality reflected outwardly. The familiarity, therefore, is not about the other alone, but about meeting oneself through the mirror of relationship. This sensation often includes the impression that time behaves differently. Conversations feel timeless, moments stretch or compress, and the present feels unusually vivid. Jung associated such experiences with numinous encounters, moments charged with psychological intensity that signal contact with deeper layers of the unconscious. In these moments, the ego temporarily loosens its grip, allowing a more expansive sense of meaning to emerge. The relationship begins to feel significant beyond ordinary categories, not because it is perfect, but because it carries symbolic weight. At the same time, this familiarity can evoke vulnerability. Recognizing someone so deeply can feel like being seen without defenses. The masks normally used to navigate social life seem unnecessary or ineffective. This exposure can bring both comfort and fear, as it threatens the carefully constructed persona. Yet this very discomfort is part of the transformative potential of the bond. The psyche senses that something essential is at stake, something that touches the core of identity rather than surface preferences. Importantly, this sense of familiarity does not guarantee harmony or permanence. Jung emphasized that meaningful connections often involve tension, precisely because they activate unconscious material. The familiarity may coexist with confusion, intensity, or emotional turbulence. These reactions do not negate the depth of the bond. Instead, they confirm that the relationship is engaging areas of the psyche that are usually avoided. The feeling of having known someone forever is not a promise of ease, but an invitation to deeper self-awareness. This experience also challenges conventional notions of causality. The rational mind seeks explanations rooted in shared experiences or similarities, yet the familiarity often arises before any such evidence exists. Jung would argue that this reflects the operation of the collective unconscious, where universal patterns shape individual encounters. When two people resonate at this level, the connection feels larger than personal choice, as if guided by an unseen psychological order. Over time, this sense of familiarity may evolve. Initial intensity can give way to a quieter, more grounded recognition, or it may transform into a catalyst for inner change. Regardless of its outward form, the significance lies in what the connection awakens internally. The feeling of timeless recognition points toward an inner readiness to confront, integrate, and transform aspects of the self that have been waiting for acknowledgement. In this way, familiarity beyond logic is not merely a romantic notion, but a psychological signal that the psyche has encountered something essential to its own unfolding. One of the most misunderstood aspects of a deep psychological bond is the intensity of emotional reactions it can provoke. When a connection reaches the unconscious, emotions rarely remain neutral. Small gestures, words, or silences can evoke strong responses that seem disproportionate to the situation itself. From a Jungian perspective, these emotional triggers are not random disturbances, but mirrors reflecting unconscious material that is being activated through the relationship. The other person becomes a catalyst, bringing hidden inner dynamics to the surface where they can no longer be ignored. Emotional triggers often reveal unresolved wounds, unmet needs, and internal conflicts that have been buried beneath adaptive behaviors. In ordinary relationships, these layers may remain dormant, protected by emotional distance. In a profound bond, however, the psyche senses safety and significance simultaneously, allowing deeper material to emerge. This paradox explains why the same person can evoke feelings of comfort and irritation, closeness and fear, trust and defensiveness. The intensity is not caused solely by the other, but by what the relationship awakens internally. Projection plays a central role in this process. Individuals unconsciously attribute disowned parts of themselves to the other person, interpreting their actions through the lens of inner expectation. When these projections are challenged, emotional reactions intensify. A perceived rejection may activate old abandonment fears, while criticism may touch deeply held insecurities. Jung emphasized that these reactions point toward shadow material, aspects of the self that have not yet been consciously integrated. The relationship exposes these areas not to punish, but to offer an opportunity for awareness. The shadow often contains qualities that were suppressed in order to adapt to external expectations. Anger, neediness, vulnerability, and even strength may have been deemed unacceptable and pushed into the unconscious. When a meaningful connection brings these qualities into contact, discomfort arises. Emotional triggers signal that the psyche is being invited to reclaim what was previously denied. Rather than viewing these moments as threats to the relationship, Jungian psychology sees them as invitations to inner dialogue and transformation. This process can be unsettling because it disrupts the ego's sense of control. Emotional reactions feel spontaneous and difficult to regulate, creating the impression of instability. Yet this instability is often the psyche's attempt to reorganize itself at a deeper level. The relationship functions as a psychological mirror, reflecting not an idealized image, but a truthful one. In this reflection, the individual is confronted with both unhealed wounds and unrealized potential. Importantly, emotional triggers do not imply incompatibility. In superficial bonds, emotional neutrality may be mistaken for harmony, while in deeper connections, intensity is misinterpreted as dysfunction. Jung challenged this assumption, suggesting that growth-oriented relationships are often marked by friction. The key difference lies in whether the emotional reactions lead to avoidance or self-reflection. When triggers are used to gain insight into one's inner world, the relationship becomes a space for individuation. Over time, conscious engagement with emotional triggers can transform the bond itself. As projections are recognized and withdrawn, clarity replaces confusion. The other is seen more accurately, not as a savior or a threat, but as a fellow individual on a path of psychological development. This shift does not eliminate emotional intensity, but it grounds it in awareness rather than compulsion. The relationship becomes less about emotional reactivity and more about conscious participation. Ultimately, emotional triggers serve as signals that something essential is unfolding beneath the surface. They indicate that the relationship is touching layers of the psyche where meaningful change is possible. When approached with curiosity rather than resistance, these moments become gateways to deeper self-understanding. In this way, emotional intensity is not an obstacle to connection, but one of its most powerful indicators, revealing the unconscious dialogue that makes the bond transformative. Conflict is often seen as a sign that something is wrong, yet within deep psychological bonds, it frequently serves a very different function. Rather than indicating failure or incompatibility, conflict can reveal the depth at which two individuals are connected. From a Jungian viewpoint, meaningful relationships activate unconscious material, and when this material surfaces, tension naturally arises. Conflict becomes the language through which the psyche expresses inner contradictions that seek resolution. In profound connections, disagreements rarely remain on the surface. They tend to touch sensitive emotional layers, provoking reactions that feel personal and intense. This intensity is not accidental. Jung believed that the psyche resists change even as it longs for growth. When a relationship challenges established patterns of identity, defense mechanisms are activated. Conflict, in this sense, reflects the struggle between the ego's desire for stability and the unconscious drive toward transformation. These moments often involve clashes between conscious intentions and unconscious expectations. One person may feel misunderstood, while the other feels unfairly judged. Beneath these experiences lie projections, where inner fears or unmet needs are attributed to the partner. Conflict exposes these projections, making visible what was previously hidden. Although uncomfortable, this exposure creates the possibility of reclaiming disowned aspects of the self. Conflict also plays a crucial role in dismantling idealized images. Early in deep bonds, individuals may unconsciously place the other on a symbolic pedestal, seeing them as the embodiment of inner ideals. Over time, reality disrupts this image, leading to disappointment and frustration. Jung viewed this stage not as a loss, but as a necessary step towards psychological maturity. Through conflict, illusions dissolve, allowing the relationship to move from fantasy to authenticity. Importantly, Conflict forces engagement with the shadow. Traits that provoke irritation or anger in the other often mirror qualities that the individual struggles to accept within themselves. These encounters can feel threatening as they challenge self-image and moral identity. Yet this confrontation is essential for individuation. By recognizing these mirrored qualities, individuals gain the opportunity to integrate rejected aspects of their personality, leading to greater inner balance. The way conflict is approached determines its transformative potential. When avoided or suppressed, it accumulates unconscious tension, often re-emerging in destructive ways. When engaged with awareness, conflict becomes a dialogue between conscious and unconscious forces. Jung emphasized the importance of holding the tension of opposites, allowing conflicting emotions and perspectives to coexist without premature resolution. This psychological stance creates space for new insights to emerge. In deep bonds, conflict often cycles through periods of intensity and reflection. Emotional reactions give way to moments of clarity, where underlying patterns become visible. These cycles are not signs of instability, but indicators of an ongoing psychological process. Each confrontation reveals something essential about the self, gradually reshaping identity and relational patterns. The relationship becomes a living process rather than a static structure. Ultimately, conflict in profound connections serves as a catalyst for growth. It challenges comfort, disrupts habitual defenses, and invites conscious participation in psychological change. Rather than weakening the bond, conflict can deepen it by fostering honesty and self-awareness. When both individuals recognize conflict as a signal of inner work rather than external failure, the relationship transforms into a shared journey toward greater wholeness. At the deepest level of a transformative bond lies the potential for mutual growth through inner integration. From a Jungian perspective, the ultimate purpose of meaningful relationships is not fusion or dependency, but the expansion of consciousness. When two individuals encounter each other in a way that activates the unconscious, the relationship becomes a living space where inner opposites seek reconciliation. Growth emerges not from sameness, but from the dynamic interaction between differences that reflect unintegrated aspects of the psyche. One of the most powerful dynamics in this process involves the integration of the inner masculine and feminine principles, known as animus and anima. These inner figures shape perception, emotional expression, and relational behavior. When projected onto another person, they create fascination and emotional charge. Over time, conscious engagement with the relationship allows these projections to be withdrawn and reintegrated. As this occurs, individuals experience increased emotional autonomy and psychological balance. The bond shifts from unconscious dependency to conscious partnership. Mutual growth also requires the gradual dissolution of rigid identities. Deep connections challenge habitual roles and self-definitions, exposing their limitations. What once felt certain may begin to feel restrictive, prompting inner re-evaluation. Jung viewed this discomfort as a necessary phase of individuation. The relationship functions as a mirror, revealing where identity has become fixed and where flexibility is needed. Through this reflection, individuals are encouraged to expand their sense of self beyond socially conditioned patterns. As inner integration progresses, communication transforms. Emotional expression becomes more authentic, less driven by fear or defense. This does not eliminate tension, but it changes its quality. Disagreements are no longer solely about control or validation, but about understanding differing inner realities. The relationship becomes a space for conscious dialogue, where psychological differences are explored rather than avoided. This shift fosters respect for individuality while deepening emotional connection. Mutual growth also involves honoring separateness. Jung emphasized that true intimacy arises not from losing oneself in the other, but from standing firmly in one's own psychological center. As individuals integrate unconscious material, they become less reliant on the relationship to fulfill unmet inner needs. Paradoxically, this independence strengthens the bond, as connection becomes a choice rather than a necessity. The relationship gains resilience, grounded in mutual recognition rather than projection. This process unfolds gradually, often through cycles of closeness and distance. periods of emotional intensity may be followed by phases of withdrawal and reflection. These rhythms are not signs of instability, but expressions of the psyche's need to assimilate change. Each cycle deepens self-awareness, allowing insights gained through the relationship to be embodied in daily life. Over time, the bond evolves into a shared path of psychological development. Ultimately, mutual growth through inner integration transforms both individuals. The relationship becomes less about fulfilling an ideal and more about supporting authenticity. Jung saw such connections as rare and valuable, not because they promise constant harmony, but because they facilitate the unfolding of the self. When both individuals commit to inner work, the bond transcends personal desire and becomes a meaningful force for transformation. Deep connections are not defined by perfection, certainty, or effortless harmony. They are recognized by the way they awaken something essential within the psyche, something that cannot remain unchanged once touched. From a Jungian perspective, the most meaningful bonds serve as catalysts for individuation, revealing hidden aspects of the self and inviting their integration. The signs explored throughout this content point not to destiny as a fixed outcome, but to an inner readiness for transformation. A profound bond reflects the psyche's natural movement toward wholeness. Familiarity beyond logic, emotional intensity, conflict, and mutual growth are not obstacles to love, but indicators that unconscious material is being brought into awareness. These experiences challenge the ego, disrupt comfort, and dissolve illusions, yet they also create the conditions for deeper authenticity. Through conscious engagement, what once felt overwhelming becomes meaningful, and what once caused fear becomes a source of insight. Such relationships ask for responsibility rather than idealization. They require the courage to face one's shadow, withdraw projections, and honor both connection and individuality. When approached with awareness, these bonds become spaces of psychological truth, where growth replaces fantasy and presence replaces expectation. The true value of a deep connection lies not in its permanence, but in its ability to transform those who enter it. If this exploration resonated with you, subscribe to the channel and continue this journey of self-discovery. Watch the next video on the screen and allow these insights to guide your own process of inner integration and personal transformation.